So we're gonna make a new tank change for my Gecko Ozai. They are an arboreal crested gecko, and basically I do bioactive. That is the best way to go, hands down, all the time. So there's gonna be 3 things that I need to put in here. Number 1 being the drainage layer. That's usually done with hydro balls, like these little clay balls. You can get them anywhere from like 20 bucks off of Amazon, easy. The second layer is the mesh. You put that on just so that, no bugs fall in, the dirt doesn't get mixed in with the hydro balls. It gets a lot easier to clean up. And lastly, these. This is the substrate layer. You don't have to do it like me. I just tend to crash out a little bit when it comes to these things because I like spoiling my animals. But basically I do a mixture of eco earth with repta soil, and then I mix in the cocoa husk in there because the cocoa husk tends to go on ahead and actually add a lot more moisture to it and sustain it. On top of that, in order to keep making it bioactive, I go on ahead and add live plants. So I believe this one is just a Dracani. As for logs, I have one here that I know I'm gonna put in. I still haven't figured out the other ones. I have to add some sort of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Enrichment for my animal. And lastly, and most certainly not least, I also have these. They're called spider, yeah, there it is. The name, Spiderwood. Ironically from the same creator of this tank. I'm upgrading from a glass tank to a PVC tank, primarily because the benefits of these things are astronomical. They are amazing in terms of keeping humidity in. They're amazing in terms of making sure the moisture is good, but also has like a metal mesh up top so that way the airflow keeps going and it allows circulation for the tank. I also want to add isopods. I'm going to see if I have any left because they're bottom feeders. They might cannibalize each other. My bad. And yeah, let's get started first off by cleaning out the old tank because I need to get the hydro balls from there. I reuse mine just because, well, they're just clay balls basically, so there's no point in throwing them out repeatedly. So let's get to that. Before I do that though, I gotta put my Gecko in jail because I don't trust her. She's the one that I found crawling out of the tank one day just before I left for work. Thank God I double checked because I have a cat. You can imagine how that would go. Personally, what I had to do before to clean these up, if you're remaking one, I like to grab just an empty tub like this and grab a sifter or a poop cleaner. I don't really use this because, well, most of my bioactive, my little insects eat the poop that my animals make. So I use it instead just to pick up a full scoop like this, sift out any dirt available, and then that's it. It's not going to be perfect. As you can see, it's not going to be perfect. But it'll get most of the dust off so that way, you can just keep going. Once you went on ahead with that painstaking process, you sifted out all of the hydro balls for the dirt. As you can see from my hands, they're going to be dirty as hell. That's expected. All you want to do is take it over here. It doesn't matter if it's hot or warm. Turn water and just start sipping it. As you can see, all done. There's a good amount of dirt in there. A good amount, as my hands are covered in it. There's a lot of dirt in there, but that's okay. Once you're done washing your hands off of this gunk, you can go to the next phase. I'm not sure if you can see him. Hey, man. Oh, dang, she's angry. All right, I gotta get her out of here. Yoink! Oh, all right, just stay here. Don't do anything stupid. All right, so really simple. All you gotta do is just that's it. Now, I will preface this though, because these are all super wet and this is a new PVC tank. If you're working with a glass tank, you don't have to worry about it. But it would be wise of you, I'm not sure if I could show you here, in the corners, all along the bottom here, you would want to apply some kind of sealant because these are, you gotta assemble them yourself. So naturally, it's not sealed. Now, me personally, I'll clean that up later. All right, so now that you got all of that, there's a few ones in there, I don't care about that. Once you got all that in there, doesn't really matter what you do with this. You could just chuck it outside, give it to your dog, whatever. Point is, this is trash. You don't have to worry about it. Just dump it out to your garden like I do. And this is where the next step comes in for the next layer. All right, before we actually get to the mesh layer and you taking care of your trash, now we can talk about the third layer real quick. Before we dive in depth about this, the important thing to know is it depends on what kind you're using. Now, if you want to ball out and go to PetSmart and buy something like this, you can. You absolutely can. These have a lot of benefits. I've heard that if you get a specific kind of dirt from Home Depot, it's kind of the same thing, but I wouldn't personally play with it. I always go above and beyond for my reptiles because you never know. You know, these things have to get treated. They have to get specially, I think it's like sunbathed, or like they get baked. Point is, these things are heavily treated to make sure that there's no underlying bacteria, there's nothing like that. And that matters immensely, especially if you got a frog. Because frogs can absorb bacteria through their skin. They're much more sensitive to that kind of stuff than you and I, because, well, our skin is not permeable. Theirs is. But it can also affect geckos, which in my case, you know, my little angel, wherever the hell she is. Oh, good morning. Point is, you can absolutely ball out on this. You can absolutely use this. But if you're cheap like me, you can always go with this. It is just straight up good old-fashioned, the same thing, basically. The only difference really being is that these are compressed, heavily compressed, so that way they have a lot more in them, and you just have to go on ahead, as the front says, just put it in water, cover it, wait 30 minutes, and then use it. So, but for now, before we get to the next layer, let's just crack this open and then get to work, leave this thing sitting, and then I'll come back and explain the rest. All right, so I always use 2 bricks as well. They're kind of big. They grow like crazy, and that's a whole other thing. But I like to have my substrate deep, so that way my gecko can burrow, because they like to bury their eggs, and my gecko likes to lay a lot of those. So all you really want to do with this, that's it. One important thing to note too is that they're kind of buoyant at first. You just want to push them down to make sure they get as much moisture as possible. And basically, once you get them fully submerged like this, you can let them be. It'll take some time before they're really fully settled in and fully done. So once that happens, I'll show you what to do next. But let's get back to the rest. Guess who I just found? Hey, man. All right, don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything stupid. Come here, mama. Oh, Jesus! Release me. Okay, no, don't go that way. Stop it. Come here. Come here, little one. Are you done? Yeah? Okay, let's go. So, the mesh layer, since you seem to be a really big fan of that, all you gotta do is take it. Are you listening? What are you doing? Look, all you gotta do is just put it in. Pause time. I gotta go find her box, because I can't do this correctly with her being on my arm. But she's been condemned to that little box for now. I also do want to reiterate one very important little thing. Sometimes you may see something like a little black on their mouth. Always double check that. That could be an infection. I know with her, she just likes to burrow, so I just know it's dirt. So I'm not that worried. I am going to take that out of her mouth soon enough once this is over. But I got to show you how to do this first. What you really want to do is just straighten it out as much as possible. If it'll let you. Hang on. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. As long as it divvies up the bottom section, like the hydro balls from the substrate, you're good. As you can see, they've easily doubled in mass. Quite crazy there. But your job is not done. I say that because you gotta go through and you gotta open it up a little bit. And as you can see, you're missing a good bit of moisture there. And this is important because that's condensed that you could probably get some more. Oh Lord, it's breaking apart really badly. I made a mistake. The good news is that you can still take the fresh stuff that's already good and put it in the new tank. So you don't gotta worry about that. If you do like me and you mess up this bad, you don't gotta worry about it. Typically you wanna be very careful because these things do cause a lot of messes. But as long as you just grab a handful and you feel that it's moist and like it's not a big issue, you can just chuck it in, no problem. Besides, I do plan on pouring more water into the tank once I'm finished because I like to make sure that my tank is hyper moisturized for my gecko because they have very sensitive skin. And the more time that they go without actual like moist air, the more likely it is that their skin is going to wrinkle. And listen, man, my gecko deserves the best. So all you gotta do is just grab a handful, just chuck it in. No problem. Thing I did forget to mention too, if you have bigger spots like this, it's always much more helpful to break it apart because that way you'll at least know for certain that it's getting to certain dry spots quicker. That, and it won't be a mess when you get back like how it was the first time. That's it for the most part. You just want to make sure all the dry spots are indeed submerged, so it's not an issue. Alright, well, because I'm goofy and I actually pretty much already have a good amount of substrate in here, I might as well show you what to do next. Personally, like I said, this isn't a necessary option, but I like to do it. I like to mix these in because these are all very good quality soil, and naturally the better quality soil, the better quality of life your animal's going to have. All you want to do is just grab a handful, chuck it in there. Don't worry about a mess, you're going to make it anyway. This part though is kind of important as well. You want to mix it in as much as you can. And I know those kind of a little more dry now because, you know, obviously dry substrate and turning into a moist tank, it probably doesn't do it too good. But with that new substrate that we're prepping right now, it will not be an issue. Now, this is something new that I did want to try. It kind of acts similarly to sphagnum moss because coconut husk absorbs a lot of moisture. And this, for whatever reason, let's just say you're busy, you're running out the house, X, Y, or Z, these things can help retain humidity in the tank for a good amount of time. Now, naturally, don't use this as a substitute for actively watering your tank. I mean, that's not what this is for. This is like more of an emergency situation. And either way, if you repeatedly continue to forget to water it, it's gonna dry out. Like, that's just gonna happen one way or another. And then same thing, just mix it in. So, depending on where you get these animals from, or I'm sorry, the plants from, it's very important to take into consideration what kind of soil they used. Because naturally, a lot of these times, they use fertilizer. Now, fertilizer in and of itself isn't a bad thing. The problem is that these things, they look like food. That's just the fact of it. These look like food. And while our gecko may just never eat them, the problem being is that maybe the feeders that we put in here, crickets, or the isopods themselves, the bottom feeders that are supposed to help clean up the tank, they're still insects. And she will still eat them. She has, countless times. She's killed colonies. But you don't want your bugs eating this because it's a food chain. It's called that for a reason. If the bugs eat it, she's gonna eat it. Indirect, but genuine. So what you want to do is you get a small tank like this, or a small tub, and just try to wash off as much dirt as possible while keeping the integrity of the roots. Try your best also not to get the plant itself wet, because obviously that's a lot of water on it. It could cause a lot of stress on the leaves. It could hurt the health of the plant itself. And as you can see here as well, all those white specks could have been in the belly of some isopod or cricket, which could have been very problematic and can actually hurt your reptile. But yeah, as you can see, I actually did a pretty damn good job. It's the first time it actually came out this way. But once you have it like this, all you're gonna wanna do is pick out your spot. I'm just gonna pick right here, plant it, and all you're gonna do is make sure the dirt's covered, make sure it's stable, cover the root as much as possible, and there you go. You just planted your first plant in your new tank. Now, I do want to reiterate as well, it's very important you check which plants are safe for your reptiles. Same premise as the tiny white specks from the fertilizer. If the gecko eats it via either from the feeders that it eats or the bugs or it just biting it because it's trying to eat food for whatever reason, it can kill it. Now, basically, you're just going to want to keep on rinsing and repeating. Just take this out as best as you can. Put this onto the side. And you rinse off whatever you can. Now, the Trachania itself right there is doing plenty of a good job, is giving it plenty of foliage to hide under. I'm going to give it another section right here. Plant it up right there. And there you go. Standing up on its own. That, I believe, I don't know the exact care for the pothos, but the point is, those are really easy to take care of. So this one's gonna need a lot of space. Don't feel bad about hitting the mesh. Do that. That's the point. You'll see where it divides and it won't break through, I'm pretty sure. So you wanna be very careful about the substrate you're putting around it, especially because for me, like I said, I put a lot of substrate. The problem being is that because of that, I don't know if I'll have enough. Like, it might overflow out of it, which isn't a big deal. You can clean it up. The important part is just making sure that your plant lives and that it gives your reptile the best life it can have. In terms of additional decor outside of the bioactive section, not this, you could always go with logs like these. I would highly advise getting something like this because, as I showed you earlier, they like hiding in things. But there's also other options as well. The background's rather black, and some people are able to go full crazy, go full beyond, and use something like this. Something like this. This is great stuff. It is an expanding foam that people use to go ahead and add this rather large, awesome background. I'll put a clip here if I can. And basically, it gives it form and shape. And like how you saw with that giant tub of dirt and substrate that I had, I could have very easily just put this in the background and sprinkled some of that stuff over it, and it would have given it a much more naturalistic background. Problem is, these things take a long time. And also, on top of that, I have not done my research on these. People have done it before. I know it's safe. I just don't know the safe way to go about it. I'm not going to spread information that I don't know 100% about, but I will put people who do know what they're doing and have talked about it here, and here. I highly encourage you to go and check these guys out. They are amazing at what they do, and most importantly, I want you to have the tank that you want. All right, for one last little touch, this little hide, nothing too crazy. Basically, helps for extra coverage. She can hide in here if she wants. I'm just gonna put it right in the back here. Try not to cover the plants either, so that way they get their maximum amount of lighting. And lastly, leaf litter. Leaf litter is super helpful because it also lets bioactive animals hide much more effectively, and on top of that, do a much better job at just surviving. Last little touch here. I believe this is a muskrat skull. It lost its tooth somewhere. Poop. But just a little touch of cool right there. And there you have it. There is the new tank specifically designated for my Crested Gecko. How's I? Let's see if she likes it. Now, let's see what she thinks. What do you think, man? You wanna go inside? You wanna go explore? Yeah? Oh? Oh? You wanna go over there? Is that what it is? You wanna go over there? Oh? I think she's like... And there she goes. What do you think, man? On to report right now. Oh. But ultimately, this is exactly what you want to go for. You want to have 3 layers, hydro balls, mesh layer, substrate. You want to have a lot of breaks in line of sight. A lot of places for her to climb. As you can see, she's already going ham, going against the wall. And most importantly, ventilation. That helps make sure that the tank itself is getting plenty of air going to and from. On the top as well, just so that way there's no issues there. And yeah, she seems quite content, already trying to hide back there and blend in.
And here is the final result. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, please do your due diligence, do your research, and let's make a new gold standard.